Hey, we got Jim, Ed, and Andrew here. Hey, Andrew, how are you?
What's happening? Happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
Thank you, thank you. Well, we're gonna have to get Andrew some caffeine, get him warmed up because we got a awesome guest today here on what is this podcast 30
Do I
or
sound like I
31?
don't have a lot of energy today?
Yeah, you sound like you're in slow mo. What is this podcast 31?
Woo! Podcast 31.
All right,
Yes.
right on.
Good times,
So,
man.
podcast 31, Alex Freeman from UpFlip. You may be just like me and caught a bunch of UpFlip on YouTube. It's the same people, sort of. I mean, they've got Alex over here knocking out the podcast side of things. That's pretty cool. They got their own team over there working the YouTube side of things, but pretty big company and pretty cool stuff they've got going on. Andrew and I are going to jump right into our numbers before we get to our guest. And also, right before we get to our guest, we're going to talk just a little bit more about scaling, about what we've been seeing here lately, and some of our thoughts and where we come in on things from our experience.
And we're not, and again, I'll let you answer these questions, but you're not necessarily saying what you were doing before isn't as good as you thought it was. It's just like you're learning some new things. You're learning some new
Yeah,
nuance.
definitely. Well, that is part of it, though. It's not as good as I thought it was. And
Yeah.
what have I done to make it better? I've definitely got some great, I think, it's been some great stuff that's been figured out with the help of a friend of ours. And yeah, we'll give him some credit when we get to it.
Is his name Cody?
No, it's a different guy.
Okay, cool.
No, it's
So
Cody.
let's do our numbers. Yeah, December has been a little bit. I guess we still haven't figured out why it's soft. I mean, I haven't had time to dive into the numbers about why it's softer than expected. I mean, it's like I know people are talking about. I'm hearing mixed reviews or mixed stories as far as like, oh, the Christmas spending, holiday spending is lower than usual. I've also heard stories saying, not really, it's still high. But I know we always talk about this. The seasonality is still a lot higher now than it has been other times. The question is, why aren't our numbers skyrocketing right now? I don't know. I'm not really sure. Is Amazon
Well,
doing
I mean,
some? I haven't heard of them tweaking things lately.
my question to you would be, I mean, how do we know? I mean, this is my first Christmas as far as Amazon goes.
It just seems like, yeah. I mean, it just seems like everything's usually up. For my FBA business, everything's usually up. But what I have noticed though, with my sales, things are just marginally up. I only sell really within one product category, but things are marginally up from November. November is marginally up from October. So maybe it's a little bit flatter than usual, and that would kind of explain things. But I don't know. I'm trying to hear, like, I don't hear people saying, "Oh my gosh, sales are terrible." I don't hear people saying sales are amazing either, like on the Facebook groups. I don't know. That's something we could probably maybe break down a little bit more, maybe in the next couple of weeks. Figure out, what are we seeing here. We talked to Michael, our buddy Michael. His numbers have been decent. Cody has been doing this. They haven't been great. Your numbers, they're not terrible. Your numbers aren't terrible. We'll get into those numbers, but let's just go ahead and we didn't talk about scaling here.
Yeah,
We'll get into that.
kick your numbers off
Yeah.
real quick.
Yes. Yeah. Yesterday, $18. Past 7 days, 119, and past 37.79. The last week or so has been pretty soft, like some of those low days. I feel like the first couple weeks of December have been better. That's why that 779 is still, it's not great, but it's about what it was last month. But it looks like it's starting to trend down. That 119 is not a good number. That's not a good number at all. That's basically saying I'm doing about 20, about what, 20 times 7, less than $20 a day last 7 days. Yeah, not great. Okay, Jim Ed, what you got there, buddy? How is your last 7 days? Is that starting to, is that trend is that kind of trending lower also for you?
Weirdly, so I took my last week's notes and punched it into it,
Yeah, yeah.
and I trended down $25 less than the previous 7 days.
7 days. Okay. All right.
So yeah, like last week I did 114. I think I can't remember 1479. No, I guess it's about $50. I think it was 1479, and now I'm down to 1424.
Okay, it's still pretty good. Okay, what was the past
Yeah,
30?
yeah. Well, let me just go over them real quick. Yesterday I did 192. Last seven's 1424. Last 30 days 6,820. Okay,
Whoa.
but you got to keep it. Well, you got to keep in mind we got the Thanksgiving week in there that I did really well on. Still showing here for December. I've got 4420. so far. That's all right. So here's where I'm looking at 44.20. We're on December 20th as we tape this, and we've got a third of the month left to go. But that third is not going to be a good third. You know,
Yeah.
I don't imagine. But
And why do
if
you
it was
say
to
that?
follow the path, well, I mean, you've got at least one day, if not two, that they're not even going to be shipping. They're not going to be shipping on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
People can still be ordering. So I guess that would, could still like have a big day afterward, but I just don't think you're going to have as big a week during and after Christmas than we will before Christmas. But if we were to stay on the schedule, I would hit 68.30, and I predicted to do about 7K. Pretty similar. I mean, I forecasted it out pretty close, and I may hit it. You never know.
Yeah. No, that's good. Those are really solid numbers, and I've been
Yeah.
I've been pretty, I haven't been adding a whole lot of new videos, not many videos at all lately. I'm still about 160 just for the audience. And you're at, what are you at? What's your count?
They've moved well, either they've taken the count off, or I've downloaded something here that don't show the count anymore. I don't know how many videos I have anymore, but I put up quite a few. I would guess I'm in the 760 or so range.
Yeah, you've been hitting it hard. Okay, cool. Well,
Yeah.
that's a good segue into scaling, because about a couple weeks ago, Cody, we've had a guest on there a couple times, and you guys know Cody, and he's been talking about he's been getting a lot of products from China. You've obviously been getting a lot of products from China, and he kind of said, "Hey guys," or mostly you, because you're getting a lot of stuff. I'm getting just some. What do you think is going on with the products you've been getting from China, from those suppliers? Is that a good percentage of your revenue or not? And I think you guys ran some quick numbers, and it was a little bit lower than I think you guys expected. But maybe you can answer that question just over the last, well, I don't know, whatever it is, last couple of weeks, month or so, whenever you ran those numbers, what did you find? Just some real high level numbers. Hopefully you have those handy, as far as like
Yeah,
how many
I do.
products do you have that are from, we say from China, they mostly are, right? They mostly are from Chinese suppliers, Chinese agents, whatever. And then what percentage of your revenue is made up of those new ones, of those products?
Yeah. Let me give you some numbers. I've had on my first 200 videos was mostly products for my house, mostly. Let's say for round numbers, I'm at 750 now. I'd say 99% of those are products from China. Just I just get so many products from China. I don't
Wait,
have
wait, wait, wait.
time to go do.
99% of your total is from China?
No. Listen, the first 200 I did was only products that was not from China, and then I started getting products from China. So as soon as that hit, so somewhere around 200, 250, up to 750, the next 500 products are pretty much 99% from China. Okay, 2/3 of my store
Got it.
is free products,
Yep. Okay. And then what do your
and
revenues look like?
we went through Cody. I've got some big items at my house that do well, so that kind of can drive some of the numbers. But that being said, I had a big day, $531. We went through and added everything up that I did myself, and it come up to $467. The China product was only worth about $64.
What's that percentage? Just 64 out of what?
Low, low. 531,
Hang on.
64 items were
64 out of
China.
530?
One.
12% or so. Okay. That's
Okay.
interesting.
Now, okay, 12% of revenue. All right. Not
Hmm.
of products. I'm selling 95 products a day, and probably, eh, and I'm kind of guessing here just from going through the list, probably 30 of those products were products not from China, maybe even less than that. But they were the more monetarily driven. They were the more expensive products. So
Okay.
yeah, we just kind of figured out and wondering, hey, are these Chinese products that we're doing? They keep you busy, which I don't need any busy work. Are they really moving the needle? To answer that question, well, yeah, kind of. I mean, I've got a base of where I'm probably doing 40 to 60 or so dollars a day from products that I've reviewed from China.
Okay. A couple things here. It's a lot about price point. Sounds like you're still selling unit wise. You're selling a decent chunk. It sounds like, but those are generally lower priced products. Is that correct? So that's why the revenue seems so low for the number of products that you're getting from China. But you're selling a good chunk. It's just like the products you've reviewed yourself, your own products. Those tend to be higher price point products, right? And they're probably
Yeah, I've got
selling
I've got
better.
several. I've got 5 or 6 products alone that are over 1,000, and a few of them over a couple thousand. So, when those hit, we're looking at each item $50 or more dollars. Some of them
Yeah.
more near $100 commission, and then there's days where I'm selling, you know, one of this one, one of that one, and one of that one, and that's like, well, that alone's $300, or I sold 3 of this one at 50. That's alone 150. When I have a $500 day, typically I've sold 2 or 3 larger, expensive items.
Guys, it seems like the trend is that most of the products that you're getting from those suppliers, those agents, the average price point is lower than certainly what you started doing your own when you started doing your own products. Your average product price point that you reviewed is a lot higher than the average product price point from those agents you're getting it from. That may not be the case for everyone
Absolutely.
because yeah, and then that's why your numbers out of the gate got good so fast. I've got a couple expensive products I've reviewed, but and then there's probably a lot of you guys out there that if you're doing a lot of kitchen products, you're a lot of these household gadgets or stuff that are kind of around that $20 to $50 range, you may be like, that's fine, but it's don't expect to get a $500 product for free from an agent. Don't expect to get $100 product free very often, at least from a Chinese agent.
Yeah, you'll get more. You can get some $50 to $100 products, some, especially after you've worked with an agent for a while. They know what your
Right.
videos look like. They know they can trust you to get the video done. They get very anxious. I do have one agent though, Andrew, that does tend to have videos that are a little more complicated to do, but most of those are $100 or more products.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, that's interesting. What have you done once you looked at your numbers? You're like, shoot, you know what? I'm not making as much revenue. At the end of the day, that's what you want anywhere. You want commissions, right? You want commissions. You're not selling a bunch of units. It's not going to, if it's not worth much, it's not going to bring home the bacon, so to speak. You could get something, a $10 product, sell a million times, it's not going to get you much revenue. What are you doing going forward to kind of keep this balance of you're still, a couple of things here. I know so much about the situation. It's hard to ask these questions a little bit, but I know you've been slowing down a little bit, getting a little more particular about this, but you're also doing some other things to get some additional income coming in. Go ahead and just connect the dots on those two things.
One thing that we talk about around here a lot is community. Andrew and I are in community with Cody. We're all talking all the time. And, I just kind of went over this with Cody. Cody and I have gotten to the point where he was wanting some more China suppliers. I was wanting some more and better China suppliers. And we look at it like, hey, there's plenty of pie for everyone. Cody's not doing 100% of anybody's reviews, nor am I. And if there's gonna be other people doing the reviews, it may as well be somebody we know. So
Right.
part of that community is Cody and I. Sorry, Cody and I both have some of the same suppliers now. I got him started with one of mine. One of his that he had talked about reached out to me organically, and then I said, "Hey, who's your best supplier? How's it work?" And he gave me her information, or
Mhm.
he introduced me to her through Instagram. We have 3 similar. We have 3 of the same suppliers. He's sharing with me that, hey, this supplier pays $20 on every one of the videos. This one does 10. This one does 10. I went to the supplier I've been with the longest, and I said, hey, look, I'm getting paid $10 to $20 per video now. And basically, I started saying no to everybody who can't pay $10 to $20 a video. I mean, I'm not on my first 50 videos, Andrew, here. I'm at 750. So, if you're a little more established, you're a few hundred videos along, you've worked with somebody for a little bit, you've done your time, you've done some free videos, it's time to start getting paid. That's where I'm at. I've got 4 main suppliers. I did mention I have one that sends me expensive stuff, and then the other guys I kind of just like, hey, does it have a budget? If not, then I'm out. I've got another one that's just sent me a few products. They're $30 a video, and that's not much. But on the other hand, it's like some of these videos, if they're fairly easy, I can shoot them and upload them within 3 or 4 minutes, and $10 isn't bad. My PayPal account's got about $1,000 in it now, just from that them sending me PayPal, and actually one of the ones that pays 20 sends me Zelle. So that isn't even counting that. I probably have $1,200 or more or so over the last few months just from getting paid that way. And I haven't been taking much money. Now that I've started this, I expect that part to kind of ramp up a bit.
That's cool. Then you're getting additional revenue. You're getting a little more picky as far as what products you take. If they're not paying you money, you're like, you know what? Unless you really want the product, you can use it for something, or it's a high price point, or it's selling really well on Amazon, whatever. Then you're like, no, thank you. So, and then secondly, you're getting paid. You're getting paid more money for these products. The average product you're actually getting paid for. And then I was going to ask you the other thing about that is these products that you're actually getting, how successful have you been at selling these products on Marketplace, eBay, Nextdoor? Have you gotten some money for those products? Have you
So
gotten money
mixed.
through those channels?
Yeah, just here recently, I sold a large computer table for $100. I sold a large pet crate for 125. I tried to sell a skateboard. It wasn't selling really good. We do a little program at our work where we adopt a family, is what it calls. I ended up, I kind of overheard that they could use one more like nice gift. And they mentioned skateboard. And I was like, oh man, I got a skateboard that's not selling. It was like a $150 skateboard that got donated to
Oh, cool.
somebody, that a family that
Yeah.
needed it for Christmas. And then the other part, I can't really answer yet. I've got a whole stack of stuff. I finally neatly have it arranged somewhere. And come spring, we'll have a yard sale. I'll be really disappointed, Andrew, if when I pull all that stuff out, if I don't make near $1,000 on it.
Yeah.
Just the nature of it. And probably what I plan on doing is just selling everything for about half price of new, and it's new in the box, so it's just open box basically. So if I can't get 50% on it, something's going to be wrong. And I plan on just putting tables out, and I'm going to have a $5 table, a $20 table, a $50 table, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. I bet you, just from my experience with this, I bet you get more money if you did Marketplace with those items, Marketplace or eBay.
Oh yeah.
At a garage sale, it's people are not coming to pay 50% off. They're coming to probably get 90% off in most cases.
Yeah, I get
But
that. But when you start looking at stuff that's new in the box, people start buying stuff just because they can look it up on Amazon and go, oh, it's double that on Amazon. So
yeah,
and I'll just be upfront with people. Hey, these are all open box. They're new. Got them off of Amazon. Long story, but just they're half off. If you look it up on Amazon and I'm gonna say they're about half off because I'm gonna make it easy. I'm gonna put it on tables, 5, 10, 20, 50 top deal. I'm not gonna price every little item out. If it's on
yeah,
this table, it's $20.
yeah. Well, good luck with that. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah, we'll see how
uh,
it goes.
yeah. I'm not just trying to be sarcastic or anything, but no, I think that's
No,
interesting.
no, I know
In
it's fine.
most cases,
Yeah.
people are not doing what you're doing. They usually have a bunch of stuff that's really old and used. But you might find that
Right.
people are saying, "Look, you're getting some good deals on these practically brand new products. You just
Well,
basically
what
took
I'll
it out of the
also
box
do,
to do a review in most cases, right? And then you put it right back in the box."
yeah, exactly. What I'll
Yeah,
do too is I'll put pictures of what's on the tables on Facebook. They'll see that
yeah,
it's like new product. And what you'll have is you'll have somebody that's going to come out and go, "Oh yeah, I'll buy a bunch of this stuff,"
hmm
and they got something in mind for it. I don't need to know. But hey, one thing that we talk about all the time, and I'm sure you see it all the time in other groups, it's like the way to scale on this program is to go buy stuff from Amazon
yeah,
and then sell it at 30% off on Facebook Marketplace,
right.
expensive items. I just, it would have to really be the right item because you're not even guaranteed to hit the listing. So, I get it. Some people will say, well, if you were going to kind of buy it anyway, okay, all right, I'm in the market for something anyway. Yeah, let's go on Amazon. Let's see what I like on Amazon. And maybe I'm going to buy something instead of spending 500 on it. I might spend 800 on it because I'm going to get the really nice one because I'm going like, hey, I'm going to at least get my $300 back on this. That's the only time I can really justify, you know, buying something to review it. You got thoughts on that?
No, I agree. I don't. There's much better ways to do reviews or work with others to get reviews. That that's much better to do that first than to buy products. I think what we're really seeing is that it's the review that's beneficial, that's lucrative. It's not the product itself to buy that product. And I understand that there's a lot more of an exact science if you actually can buy the product because hey, I'm gonna buy this product. I understand this product. I know it's selling really well. I know on the carousel there's not that many videos. Whatever. There's tools that let you do that now. I know that you can do that, but it's very expensive. It takes a long time to get your money back. I just don't like that way of doing things. I know people have been successful with this. I don't like it, and it's too much. Then you have to sell that product, and yes, you might get 80% of your money back. But I used to do a lot of the eBay stuff, but I have some stuff still in my closet that I got for dirt cheap at garage sales. I'm still waiting to sell it. I've actually sold a couple of things. I've actually months went by and finally sold some skates, and then I sold this other thing. But there's a couple of things in there still that I haven't sold, and I hate that stuff in my closet. I hate it sitting there, this old stuff that I don't want to do anything with. I'm kind of out of that game now. I love to turn stuff. My Amazon business, man, it's like turning and turn that stuff out. I want to turn that stuff out in 30 days and then restock it. That's sort of my mentality with all that. It's like being creative about finding ways to get reviews. That's what I'm more excited about. Whether it's family members or it's friends or whatever it is to get those reviews. That's what I'm excited about, partnering with others to get videos done. More on that. I think we might be testing some things on that, Jim Ed, but I think we haven't figured out how to crack that nut quite yet, but it's going to be fun. I think there is a lot of evolution that's occurring here, and there's a lot I'm really excited about next year because I have hit sort of a point where I'm pretty busy, don't really have a whole lot more low hanging fruit at my house, and I haven't really hit up a lot of my friends lately for more reviews, and that's why I'm kind of come to a little bit of some of it. The reason why I probably have slowed down is because there's just not that much more stuff for me to review that's worth it, right? I've got some stuff I've reviewed some things like that, like some coffee or something, and it's like, it's just not bringing in much money. It's not really worth my time.
Right. Yeah, I need to maybe slow down, which I have because I'm getting ready to take off tomorrow for a week, going out of town, and I'll review some stuff over at my parents' house. We're gonna go see them. They're about 12 hours away, but I think, I think I need to probably be super picky with the Chinese products. Continue to do that. Make sure I'm getting paid, and I've kind of exercised that muscle a little bit here lately of saying no. Because I like to say yes, it's free product, and it's not that much work. But then I'm going to exercise the no muscle, and I'm going to go start maybe looking at some friends and stuff that I can do a few more reviews with.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Hey, it's about Alex Freeman time. About time to bring him in. Any final thoughts on scaling?
Yeah, I've got a lot of thoughts on scaling, and we're going to cover that really in depth we're not holding anything back from you here, but we're definitely going to go into depth on that. There's going to be a whole session dedicated to that with Q&A if you're on the Proven AZ Influencer course. So just go to provenazinfluencer.com and go ahead and sign up. We were telling you to sign up so that you'd be alerted when the date is, but we already know the date. We're looking at late January. If you're wanting to do the course, you better get signed up on it. The specials are going to be gone as we get closer to the time. So you may want to jump on there and see what kind of pricing you can get on it if you're interested. May not be for everybody, but if you're interested in trying to, scale this up and get it rolling on the faster side of things, this is definitely going to help you. Alex is here with UpFlip, which, when Alex agreed to get on the podcast, I was super excited because I already knew what UpFlip was. Not as familiar with the podcast, I will admit, but the YouTube channel, absolutely. I've watched many episodes and enjoy it greatly. How do you tie in to the YouTube part of this?
Yeah, I was brought into kind of, the company had long established the YouTube presence when they hired me in, and I was there to kind of branch out into that audio world of things and kind of take the great work that the video team has been doing on the YouTube channel and bringing it into a different format. A lot of the times now we're interviewing a lot of the same folks that appear on the videos. We then go a little bit deeper into the audio format because obviously podcasts can tend to run a little bit longer. People have a little bit longer of a listener attention span, and we can go into kind of some of the more in-depth details, really nitty-gritty stuff that the videos aren't necessarily touching on.
Yeah, I was kind of concerned. I was like, well, they've got to be tied together, because I looked through a few of the videos and I was like, well, I also see the same person on the podcast. That can't be just a coincidence. So I figured it was the same. That's a pretty big outfit, UpFlip, huh?
Yeah, it's a really interesting company to have been a part of, because it is definitely a lot of really interesting folks, and for a lot of us, it is also a side hustle portion of our income. There's kind of the head office, and then there's the video team. A lot of the video guys, a lot of the script writers working behind the scenes. All of them are not necessarily full time, but are in as freelancers as a side hustle.
Yeah, one can certainly tell that it's not just, I have a YouTube channel, mine's a little thrown together. This one is a very professional production. You could see the same thing airing on a DIY channel or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's always been kind of the goal, is to produce as high of quality content as possible, stuff that we want to make sure that we would watch, we would listen to, all of that good stuff.
Well, the podcasts of yours I've listened to are also very high quality. We'll segue right into that. So very nice work. Enjoyed the podcast I've listened to, but again, I've been more of a fan of the video part. But I guess the podcast is sort of new, right? You've got over 100 episodes. It's not brand new, but
a couple years, about 2 years.
Yeah, about 2 years is kind of where we're at. And kind of this is as we look forward to 2024, we've just kind of brought in a bunch of new team members for the podcast as well. So excited to kind of we feel like we've started to figure out the format we want to go with. And now we're really starting to ramp up the team so we can run to even better heights.
So is your background some kind of radio or something like that?
Yeah, I'm a theater actor by training.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Who then realized that I much prefer the kind of conversations with people and the sitting behind a microphone to being on stage. It was kind of that transition in my life from actor to audiobook narrator to podcast host is kind of the train I went through.
Well, so tell us why you decided to talk over each other. Go ahead.
I think that with mine and Andrew's lack of theater training and the hone voice that you have, our audience, I'm sure, can certainly tell the difference when you're talking versus us, of course. So very cool. Go ahead, Andrew. Why don't you ask some questions?
Speak for yourself, Jim Ed.
Yes, sir. And for you.
we do rib each other a little bit. Yeah. Him ribbing me more than I rib him, but hey, what are you going to do? Tell us about this podcast. It makes sense that why you wanted to start this podcast, but why this particular subject matter, the whole side hustle, business related podcast material?
Yeah, one of the things that we kind of noticed as something that was kind of lacking in the market was, how do we go about and build, there's everybody dreams of building a unicorn company that becomes $1 billion valuation, sure, but that is, that's trying to punch a lottery ticket. But there are so many different businesses that you can either build on the side of your current 9-to-5 that can eventually become a full business, or not, and still earn a nice amount of money for you. Or there are things that are like, college isn't for me necessarily, and that's the case for a lot of people. But like, what are those? I like to work with cars. Okay, great. There are way beyond just like being the local mechanic, all of these different businesses that people are able to build in working on cars and working with cars. We had a guy who started out wanting to work on cars, and he ended up building a tech company because as he kind of went down the road of being an on-call mechanic, he was like, okay, we got to build some better systems, and ended up building an app that his company was going to use that became a more profitable portion of the business than actually doing the work on the cars. The desire to kind of like unearth those things that everybody can find the thing that's going to interest them, and that can then bring them, a very nice income either on the side or full time was really kind of one of the main focuses of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. Tell us a little bit. I'm gonna get a little more details as far as like maybe some themes across all these 100 interviews you've done or 100 podcasts you've done. Love to hear some overall themes as far as
I think Andrew's looking for like some kind of secret sauce to some success that you can kind of share with our audience.
Yeah, success. Yeah, but
I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, before I was just curious just about the podcast itself. What are some lessons you've learned about podcasting, over all these episodes? And then if you're comfortable telling us what are some of the ways you're monetizing your podcast?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we've definitely learned is that when you're trying to get into kind of the granular details of things, it can become a little bit bogged down. It can become a little bit too nitty gritty as we go into the niches. So like finding the balance of giving somebody the ability to, if they listen to an episode of the podcast, for example, somebody wanting to, we were interviewing a guy who flips items that he goes out, finds antique shops, does a lot of eBay, that kind of business of item flipping. Okay, how do we give somebody enough detail that they could get started? They know where to go look to get all of the additional minutia that they're going to need to figure out about that, while also understanding that it is fully possible. Like finding that balance has definitely been one of the harder things as we've gone along in these 100 episodes. But I think we're starting to land in a really nice spot with that. And definitely I've talked to listeners who have gone out and have started flipping things on eBay, have started new businesses because of what they heard on our show, which has been really, really cool and impactful to kind of like see that level. And then from a monetization standpoint, certainly there's the sense of it as being partially a lost leader to things like courses that we sell on the site, getting people traffic to the site, doing those things. And then there's kind of standard trades with other podcasts for sponsorships and some paid sponsorship opportunities as well that we've been able to take advantage of.
Nice. Do you feel like you get momentum as far as like how did the momentum start? Did it start right out of the gate? Because I was talking to Jim about an article we read that said, man, when you start this thing, you need to already be just going crazy. Like before you have your first podcast, you need to basically have them all ready to go, and then just do a huge launch, and then you're off to the races. And then with us, it's really more of a slow and steady approach, right? And then I think some actually do grow organically, right? They just number one, it gets this much, number two, number three, and then it just takes off. But I was just curious, like, what is your approach? Did you do a lot to do a huge launch, or is yours kind of grown more organically over time?
Yeah, obviously we had a built-in advantage because the video audience was there to us initially to kind of tap into. But then from that, we were able to kind of take a more organic approach to the growth in that in the beginning, we were more or less recording one episode to go out the next week, and slowly but surely started to, as we were figuring out how to structure the scripts, how to do those things, then we were able to start recording ahead a little bit. And now we kind of live we're about 4 to 6 weeks ahead on our recording schedule, which is great because I don't know if people can hear it in my voice right now. I've been sick this week. Recording extra episodes was not in the cards, but we were okay because we have things built up heading into the holiday season and heading into all of those types of things. And as life comes up, as guests cancel, all of those things, the ability to kind of like build up that stockpile of episodes while still being able to be fairly responsive to our audience. As somebody watches a YouTube video, they start asking questions. Okay, great. Let's get this person back on the podcast so that we can kind of ask these follow-up questions with them, as opposed to the process of getting a full video crew back out to their office to do a follow-up video.
Why one a week versus more than once a week?
Some of it is just kind of listening to our audience in terms of how often they're actually able to commit an hour to listen to a conversation. And I think that there is a world where we're going to start to look to release more. At times we release more in a week. Usually if we've kind of built up our stockpile a little bit too far ahead, we'll release a few more episodes a week. But yeah, landing in that once a week kind of rhythm so that there is always consistently an episode coming out on Mondays is kind of the goal.
Yeah, it makes sense. Jimmy, do you have any questions before I was going to ask that thing I mentioned?
No, I was just commenting that that's a nice synergy, though, that you can have a YouTube video come out, and then there were things that we missed because people are asking a lot of questions, and it's like, oh, heck yeah, we can circle back and pin that all down in the podcast, make it for a really good podcast that way.
Yeah, and it's been really great because then we can both pose those listener questions and be like, okay, these are the things that after we edited the video, we wish just as a company that we'd gone deeper with you on about this specific detail. Or like things about like financials don't really make great video, but they can be pretty good conversation.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the question I had, I hit on that earlier. Love to get some themes. I mean, you've talked to all of these, people who are successful side hustles, right? And I'm really curious themes you've seen from that. And I don't know why I can't just ask one question, but just to go ahead and say, then what's sort of been the one that you, if you were to recommend any side hustle to start with today, what would that be? It's kind of, I think the first thing is maybe overall themes, and then what is that one side hustle, if any, that someone should get started with today?
1 second, I'm going to cough.
Yeah, sure.
I think that, it sounds really cliche to say that the main theme that I get from all of these folks is that either if I've asked them, what do you wish you knew, 10 years ago before you started?
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to somebody starting out? Almost universally, the answer is start. Like, get started, just do it.
Yeah.
Do something and learn either really quickly that this is going to work or that it's really not going to work. And then you have to kind of like find that grit to find something new or find something that is going to actually satisfy you, actually bring in the income that you are looking for it to bring in, et cetera, et cetera. The other piece of advice that is really interesting that I get a little kind of a split on, and is whether or not you should do something that you really love as your side hustle, or if you should do something that you really is going to be lucrative as your side hustle, because those are not always the same thing.
Yep.
And finding the thing that is going to be lucrative that you don't hate is probably the magic formula. Because in general, we've talked to people that have started businesses picking up dog poop. Like nobody wakes up in the morning going, man, I'm going to go pick up some dog poop today. And that's the life that I want. But one reason you can get paid pretty well to do that is because people don't like to do it.
Yeah.
Finding those types of things is really, really kind of the ideal space to move into. And in terms of like one side hustle that I might recommend, it is definitely, I don't know, I think I would lean towards this kind of like fulfilled by Amazon, Etsy, print on demand kind of space, especially if the restlessness you're feeling in your 9 to 5 is that you don't have a creative outlet. This can give you a bit of a creative outlet. And then there is also a way to do it that you're leveraging all of the great like SEO stuff where you're looking up high search, low volume things. And maybe you're not designing something that you like are really deeply passionate about, but you're able to use your creative skills in a way that is then lucrative for you.
So when you talk about FBA,
hang on. That was a terrible answer. I hated it. I have to edit all that out. No, I'm just
makes sense. That makes sense.
How about Amazon influencer, man? No.
The funny thing
you haven't talked to people who are Amazon influencers yet. So.
The funny thing, Alex, is that Andrew's really big in the FBA business. So
yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about. Yeah, I'm doing just the more traditional buying and reselling, right? Not print on demand. Are you saying doing print on demand through FBA specifically?
Like either doing print on demand. Amazon has a print on demand business as well, but you can then there's a couple of great episodes of the UpFlip podcast where I talk to a guy who has set up a system where he's doing print on demand, Etsy, Amazon, and FBA, Amazon FBA, like all with the same kind of
interesting
product catalog.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. Yeah, we talk about Amazon influencers so different from FBA. The thing about Amazon influencer is really cool. There's no inventory, but print on demand, there's no inventory either. That's kind of interesting, right? Traditional FBA is you got to have these products and then you have to get them if you bundle them or just get it and then ship it to Amazon. It can be really lucrative, but you have to spend a lot of money on inventory first. Amazon influencer is literally looking around your house when you get started and you're literally just doing reviews of these products on Amazon. and then people watch the videos. When they buy it, you get commissions. It's really nice. But scaling, man, you can scale. I think we're starting to learn some ways to scale Amazon Influencer. But for FBA, literally, how many products do you want to sell? You find 1,000 products that you can sell. Do 1,000. You want 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. Next thing you know, you're making it's $1 million business. And then maybe if you're comfortable telling us like what is the most lucrative for you, or like where's the most money coming from as far as your different side hustles?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I mean, I've been narrating audiobooks since about 2016.
Okay.
And have started out on ACX, the Audiobook Creators Exchange that is run by Audible. I've since branched out to Upwork and all of the other possible places that you can create an audiobook or find somebody who will produce an audiobook for you, working in all kinds of different genres. And it has grown. And just like to kind of give folks a sense of the scale of the numbers, in 2016 when I was doing it, I was doing everything on a royalty share, and I was very excited when I made about $150 that year. And now this year I'm gonna approach about $40,000 in payments for audiobooks and various other voiceover work. And one of the things that has been exploding a lot lately, and it's because faceless YouTube videos have become a big thing, faceless YouTube channels. And so narrating those YouTube videos, providing the voice for those, has become certainly my most lucrative on an hourly basis.
Okay, so instead of AI, people are using AI, but AI it's not there yet, right? You can tell it's AI.
Right.
You're the voice instead of a real human voice that's not AI for some of these faceless videos.
Yep, exactly.
Wow.
And that's been, and I think that like, yeah, a lot of people are finding a lot of success with that kind of like blend of using AI to create the video, to create all of those types of things, because people are used to, I mean, we've been looking at Toy Story since 1996. We're used to looking at CGI generated imagery and things, but yeah, the voice technology is not there yet. And one of the things that definitely we'll be looking into in 2024 is just creating my own voice imprint as well, so that as that technology starts to get there, licensing my voice for AI purposes, because I acknowledge that that's where certainly the low end of the industry is going.
Interesting. Descript, I don't know if you've heard of that platform, but you can just record your voice and then they do an AI version of your voice. I mean, it's interesting. It's not quite there yet, but again, it's making strides in that direction for sure.
Yeah.
When you're doing a video like that, so let's say I have a YouTube channel and I shoot a video, do they send you over a script, or how's that work?
Yeah, they'll just send me a script, and they usually batch create. We'll end up with 5 to 10 scripts from my client at the time, and I'll just on a Tuesday, that's kind of where I'll start my day, and I'll bang those out and send them back over, send the audio back over.
How do they find you?
That mostly comes on Upwork as the platform of choice.
Alex, I don't know if you have any final words of wisdom, but we've learned a ton from you today. We really appreciate you being our guest. And
I do have one little thing I would like to.
Yeah.
So, user generated content. Anything? Can you look into your crystal ball and tell us, what's going to be some future side hustles? Or, I mean, you've already told us about basically how you're already ahead of the game working with user generated content with your voice. So, yeah, throw some more wisdom at us.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the biggest thing that it just seems to be coming back, I guess, is authenticity in everything. I think that, looking at, I've got a friend who owns a digital marketing agency, and not only is she more authentic in marketing her agency in terms of like what she's struggling with as an agency owner, what she's struggling with as an agency trying to reach clients, but then also creating that authentic brand voice for her clients. And I think that finding the authentic way to do whatever you're doing is going to be, as opposed to being falsely slick or falsely, buttoned up. If you're not a buttoned up person, just being authentically you and whatever your hustle happens to be.
Yeah, man, that's great.
Yeah. I'm talking a lot about being authentic lately. So
yeah,
a huge theme that the last 3 podcasts we talked about this. Yeah.
We're missing authenticity wherever we go now, whether it be the commercials we're watching, the leadership of the country, if you will. A lot of times, just in general, we're missing that authenticity. We're kind of thirsty for it. So, when people are bringing it, and hey, not to mention, shoot, user generated content. Are you kidding me? That stuff's on sale, man. It is cheap compared to what we're paying for the other stuff,
Yeah, absolutely. And companies, and we talked about this last week, like there's some stats from a couple of years ago, it's only grown. It's companies are tired of just, I mean, they know that people are tired of seeing ads. And so they're like, well, if we can get some of these guys who are doing authentic, at least authentic looking ads for our products, they don't look like ads, man, it can just take off, and it's already happening. Right. And I know
when you try to fast forward through a podcast, and Alex over there with his voice doing his thing, and then next thing you know, he breaks into an ad. And you're like, okay, it's an ad. I'm gonna skip ahead, and then Alex is talking again. You're like, well, shoot, is this the ad or is Alex talking again? Am I gonna miss something? So you end up listening to more of it. And you know what? Advertisers know that. I mean, when it clicks to something different, and it's just, you can tell it's got music to it. It's not where we were. But when, and I'm sure you purposefully make your ads to sound just like the podcast, right?
Yeah. Well, I think part of that too comes like from our perspective in terms of monetization, is that like we don't want just any old advertiser. We want an advertiser that is relevant to our audience, is going to be, even if as easy as it is, if somebody's waving a check in front of your face, to just like take the check and do it. Like you want to create a situation where they're going to listen to the ad because what you're talking about is relevant to them.
Yeah, absolutely. We did a podcast for. Go ahead, Jim.
When I get an ad forced in front of me because it's been something I was shopping for, and it's like, well, yeah, oh, cool. I was researching an ice maker. I want to, check that out because they're sending me stuff about ice makers now. So, yeah, it's kind of nice when it's related in something you're interested in.
Yeah, I was saying we did just a survey about our podcast, like what kind of what content they're looking for, and then just overall feedback. And one person saying, I just don't like to be sold to. And I like that you guys aren't selling to me. And I think the thing is, if we're gonna sell something, it better be something that they're interested in, right? It's gonna be it's not gonna be something just like, why are you telling about this thing just because you're making money on it? It needs to be something that's gonna be related to things they're interested in. I think it's almost whether even though this person didn't say this, I think she's kind of saying, make it relevant if you're going to talk about, if you're going to do an ad per se or a promo per se. And if it's not going to be relevant, then I don't want to listen to this. In fact, if you do a lot of that, I'm not going to listen to your podcast anymore. That's what I think is probably a lot of listeners are probably getting that point where they're just way too many ads. They're just tired of it.
Yeah. And I think that, like, as listeners, I think we all know that, yeah, you've got to make money. You've got bills to pay. Like that makes sense. I am understanding of it, even if I, maybe don't necessarily love it, but yeah, don't make it something that is wholly irrelevant to me.
Exactly. Well, Alex, and unless you have anything else, we really do appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for being our guest, and I really have enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, this has been great, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you. Yeah, you too. All right, bye-bye. Alex he's a great guest. I really enjoyed talking to him. I mean, I probably could have talked to him for another couple hours, just because he's just a wealth of information. Really buttoned up.
That voice. I was just thinking, man, when he was talking about the voiceover stuff, it's like it'd be neat if you were just shooting content and getting that done, because I'm sure he's doing it at an hourly rate, and I bet it's reasonable, especially if you're like bringing plenty of work. But we speak the English language fairly well, so that's not an issue for us on ours. But you know what? If it's a problem for anybody out there, that might be a good avenue, is to shoot the product and let somebody else do the voiceover work for you.
Yeah, your voice is decent too. I think our voices are probably fine. But
falls under good enough.
Trying to think other takeaways. I love what he said about the side hustles, and it applies to Amazon Influencer. And I didn't write these things down, so help me out here. Number one, just start it.
Yeah, you got to get started. I knew that was going to be it, man. Is that it or what? I mean, it's always getting started. How many people are listening to the podcast? I've listened to 5 podcasts and hadn't done one thing. That to me is what this course is going to be about. They say a large portion of the people who sign up for most courses don't do anything. I'm hoping ours is going to be different. If you're looking to sign up for hours, one thing that you're going to hear right off the bat is it's about you doing a good job doing what you're supposed to do. You know, don't blame it on us if things aren't working out. Most likely it's because you didn't do what needed to be done. The beautiful thing is Amazon influencer is not hard. So
Yeah.
if you need a nudge getting started or you want to take it to that next level, I think this course that we're going to be doing, and it's just going to be out in just a couple weeks, that's going to be where it's at possibly for you.
Yeah, I love it. And number two, I remember that now. Number two, and it's great. It's like I've thought about this a lot also. Your side hustle, should it be something that you really enjoy doing? Yes, it could be, but probably number one, it needs to be lucrative, right? So then it's lucrative, but you can, what do you say? You can kind of like tolerate maybe. It may not necessarily be your favorite thing to do, but you don't hate it.
Two things I heard there, and I didn't hear them really covered. One reason to me that and I didn't even think about this part. I think where he was going is don't do something that you love because it probably doesn't pay.
Don't
But
do
the
something that you love if it doesn't pay.
Well, but what
Yeah.
I thought, because I'm always geared to find something that you love that pays, but then I also thought, well, what he's saying is don't do something you love because you're going to turn it into a job and you're not going to love it.
Yeah, he wasn't going
He
that
wasn't
direction.
going there, but
Yeah.
I thought of that. You know, I've shared with you guys a
You
lot of
might
my
taint
side
it a
hustles.
little bit. You might taint it a little bit, you're afraid. Is that what you're
Oh,
getting?
for sure.
Yeah. That's a good point too, though. That's a
Oh,
good
for
point
sure.
also.
Yeah, the whole YouTube thing was really fun when I first started, and then it's kind of like, oh, I've
Mhm.
committed to myself. I'm gonna do a video a week for a year, and man,
Yeah.
I hit 50 though. I did pretty good my first year, but it's tough. It took some. There was times it's like, yeah, I don't even want to really fool with this anymore. I should probably just quit, but I'm glad I didn't. Um, but I've shared other side hustles. You know, I do the welding thing, and I'll do a lot of shop things, and there's lots of ways to make money. And
Yeah.
what I try to do is if I'm going to pick up a new hobby, let's pick up a hobby or let's tweak that hobby in a direction that's going to make money. Let's
Right.
not go get involved in kayaking because I'm probably not going to make money kayaking unless I can figure out a way to work that into some YouTube, which may be there, and maybe some product
And you
endorsement.
don't like kayaking either for some reason.
Yeah, kayaking that's for the Andrews of the world, Andrew kayaks. But you know, I decided, well, hey, I think I would enjoy welding, and there's a need there, and I've made a pretty good amount of money on little projects welding.
I'm gonna add a third thing to that. I think there's a cross section. There's you like it, okay, make some money, and thirdly, you have some skill in it.
Yeah,
So,
I've
and if you don't have
I started.
skills,
I didn't hardly know how to weld. Now I'm pretty darn good at it.
right, and and again, you were able to push over the hump. Like there's things like, for instance, the Amazon influencer, right? Like you not may not be necessarily great creating videos. It isn't that hard though. But have you gotten better? Have I gotten better? Absolutely. Have you gotten more comfortable being in front of the camera? I mean, literally, you would have seen zero videos of me about a year ago anywhere. I didn't want to be on social media. I thought it was an invasion of my privacy. I'm not going to put myself on camera. My first whatever, probably 30 videos, I was not on camera at all. But no, that's interesting. So yeah, sometimes you may not necessarily be amazing at something, but you had the technical kind of like you're like in that space. You're like, you know what? I want to learn how to do some welding. And it's like, but if say I don't know, I'm trying to think of a thing like something that you need like with Amazon, my Amazon business. And I think you don't need to love packing and stuff like that to do Amazon for sure. You can delegate that. But if I hated every aspect of Amazon, if I don't like e-commerce very much, I don't really like working with Amazon. If I don't like
If you don't
looking
like
at
finding new products to
like yeah,
sell,
if I don't
you
like
hate
looking
all
at
of that.
data, then it's
Yeah,
what are you going to do then? You have to do something. I
about
like a
that.
lot of aspects of it. I really do. That kind of keeps you going, and you look at the rest. Really interesting. I think that's. I mean, again, we asked him one question. There's a lot to unpack there. But what was the third thing he said? Just to recap, that third thing he said. I'm trying to remember
Yeah,
if there
well,
was a third thing.
either way, the thing is, whenever you're learning, Andrew's kind of point to this is you're learning things. If you're going to be getting in front of the camera and doing Amazon influencer, you're going to get better at it. And guess what? That's going to translate to you're going to get better at being a leader or talking to a handful of people or teaching a handful of people how to do something because you're in front of the camera and you're getting comfortable. Now it's next thing you know, hey, we got 13 people that's going to be coming in. Can you kind of talk to them and guide them through something here at work? And you're going to be like, yeah, no problem.
What was the third thing though that he
I have
said?
no idea. I just
You
want
don't
to.
know? Okay, those are certainly the two things. So the two things that resonated with me for sure. So Alex, sorry if I forgot that third thing, but yeah, good stuff overall. He's a great guest, and really enjoyed talking with him. And yeah, there's lots of side hustles out there. So we'll you know, there's no competition here. If you want to listen to his side hustle, we'll put it in the show notes for sure. All right, where can you find us, Jim Ed?
It really don't matter. They've all dropped off already. But you can find us on our Facebook group, Side Hustle Heroes HQ.
Good group.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Facebook group. That's all right. Make fun of me. Andrew, why don't you tell us the website where they can go if they want to sign up for the courses and know exactly when it's going to drop?
I did a really annoying thing. I talked over you when you were saying it. It's Side Hustle Heroes HQ. I'm really sorry, in our Facebook group. So our course, it is going to be at Proven AZinfluencer singular.com, not singular, but you know, AZ Proven AZinfluencer.com.
AZinfluencersingular.com. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. We're really excited about it, and you know, it's gonna be a lot of fun. And here's the thing: whether you do this, you know, I'm not trying to push you to doing this, but if you kind of like this podcast format, it's gonna still be Jim Ed, myself doing it. It's gonna be a little bit more structured, though. It's gonna kind of say, hey, this week we're talking about this topic. Deep dives. It's gonna be a really good recap, actually, of our podcast, but even deeper dives, because it's going to be more buttoned up, obviously, because people are paying for this thing, right? Be honest with you. So, but it's still going to be casual as far as this we're talking, and the
Yep.
Q&A is going to be the part that I'm most excited about, because that's what we don't have here. We're here to help, and I know, Jim Ed, you like helping people. We've all helped people on, you know, just in general in life. It's fun to help people, but also especially with something that we're passionate about. So I'm really looking forward to this. And guys, you know, as we do this, if we learn some things, if you don't want to join our course, that's fine. We'll probably, as we learn new things and pick up, we'll talk about this on our podcast. I don't think that there's things that are only going to be exclusively on our podcast, on our course. However, I'm going to say there probably will be some things that we're not going to talk about a lot on our podcast. I think you will be missing out for sure, because you won't have the audience. You won't have the Facebook group. That we have a Facebook group, of course, but this is another group just for people who bought our course. And it's going to be really exciting. That's about it for that. Anything else, Jim Ed?
Yeah, no, that's about it. We're expecting several hundred people to be in this. The Q&As are going to be strong. Everything's going to be covered. There's not, when you have 400 people watching your course and at the end of it, they're asking questions about what we just went over, everything's going to be covered. You can bet on that.
Exactly. All right. I think on that note, let's peace out. Hey, by the way, you guys are the real heroes. We don't talk about this enough. You guys are real heroes, not us. Just want to make sure you guys know that for applying the stuff that you're listening from us and what you're hearing from us. Really appreciate you guys.